The Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area senior insider himself, Ray Ratto. Raymond, how are you?
Hiya, Dad.
Well, Ray, I had to call you up because you were trending in Portland last night on Twitter. I saw that. What, what happened there?
That's a level of shame I really wasn't prepared for, but I drank my way through it.
And you're living to tell the tale. Why is there such negativity towards the Warriors? Why is when Curry wins back-to-back MVPs, we're talking about a watered-down league? Where do you peg this from, Ray?
Because I believe we seek out old players and ask them pointed questions about defending their era. And so they do. And then we get mad at them. It's bait and switch of the lowest form. I mean, what player who played 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago is going to say, oh, no question, the basketball we played was revoltingly inferior to what you are watching now? It's asking a question we already know the answer that we're going to get, and then jumping on the guy whom we bothered to get the answer from. I think that's what it is more than anything else.
Well, it's not
because
just...
I don't know that anybody runs up to reporters anymore and says, hey, I have something stupid to share with you, and I'd like you to distribute it as widely as possible. Well, we bother them, we ask them the question, they give us the answer, and we kill them for it.
Well, it's not just McGrady saying, the NBA's watered down, but it's also LeBron when being asked the question about most valuable player, him saying that Curry's numbers are indisputable, his greatness is indisputable, but the question of what valuable means is in dispute. What do you think LeBron was driving at with that response?
Well, again, it's a guy who's going to have a very hard time admitting that he's not the most important player in the NBA. And it is true. Valuable is the perfectly vague term so that we can argue about stuff like this. But again, it's seeking out somebody who is going to have an issue with saying that somebody else is the best player in his sport. I don't know, why he doesn't know that this is coming unless he's going, well, I don't mind stirring the pot a bit. Because I think they sort of figure in Cleveland that the Warriors are going to be the team they face again. So maybe it's a bit of pre-game gamesmanship.
Uh-huh.
But in terms of, intellectual usefulness, it's a zero. Like asking the ghost of Wilt Chamberlain in a seance if he thinks, DeMarcus Cousins is a better center.
Well, if you could conjure up Wilt, would that be the first question you ask him? Right?
It'd probably be the fourth, be honest with
okay.
you.
I mean, just you have that list ready, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's, the first question obviously would be, 20,000, really?
Good. 100%. That would be my lead question. Ray Ratto joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, heart of hearts, private moment for Steve Kerr. Who do you think he wants to see in the Western Conference Finals, Spurs or Thunder?
I think he doesn't care as long as the other series goes 7, because I think his most urgent need right now is for as much rest as his team can get, because they are a bit banged up. But I have to believe that if you made him choose, he'd probably choose Oklahoma City, but reluctantly, only because I think he looks at his team, and if fully healthy and playing as they should, they would get by either, and with a fairly comfortable margin. The only difference between Oklahoma City and San Antonio is that San Antonio has done this before, and that Greg Popovich is the best coach of his generation. And those are advantages that Oklahoma City cannot conjure up no matter how their talent plays. So I think because Kerr is a bit of a traditionalist that way, I think he would decide that the safer route is Oklahoma City, but only if they are forced to a 7th game.
Ray Ratto of CSN Bay Area joining me here. And then across the way from Oracle are the Raiders. They're in Oakland. And, you know, as we've had this conversation before, I've always thought a very warm place would have to freeze over for the NFL to ever consider sending a team to Las Vegas. But hearing Jerry Jones talk glowingly about the community of Vegas being one of a convention town and also a family atmosphere, now I'm beginning to think maybe if he's saying this publicly, this is a tea leaf I need to read. What do you think, Ray?
Well, Jerry Jones is unique among NFL owners in that you can't shut him up with a court order. But I think he also, based on the way he helped manipulate the Los Angeles vote, is that he's the guy who basically is the living temperature of the owners for the rest of us. And I think most of them are fine with Vegas, and most of them would even be fine with the Raiders in Vegas on the theory that Mark Davis's minority owners are guys who are connected to people like Bob Kraft and Ziggy Wilf, and that they would somehow force a deal whereby Mark Davis slowly but surely starts to divest himself of operational control of the team to those guys, because that way they get to keep it in the family. They get Vegas. They get the problem of Oakland out of their heads finally. And the only downside is that if San Diego decides to vote a stadium for Dean Spanos, they've given Stan Kroenke complete control of Los Angeles, which I don't think they really anticipated.
And the Raiders not being in Los Angeles also a benefit of that scenario as well, from what you're telling me.
Which is why they don't mind the fact that the deal Stan Kroenke has offered both Spanos and Davis is so onerously unfair to the second tenants in town. I mean, so they consider they would like San Diego, quite frankly, to go to L.A. just as a counterweight to Kroenke. But I think they're fine with the Raiders in Vegas because, if nothing else, it means that Mark Davis couldn't exercise the option if it came open.
Ray, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. You're talking. Do you have any?
I'm never done. I'm a yammering idiot.
No, you're not. And I appreciated in the minute I have left with you, your 2 cents on how I should have opened the draft. Were you staying tuned to NFL Network to see if I was going to be talking about the piles of manure at the International Lying Fest known as the NFL Draft?
I watched the Open.
Yes.
You disappointed me. I turned it off. If I wanted to see old men recite the names of young men for 3 straight days,
yes,
I'd hire an actor to read the phone book.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for calling in, Ray.
I'm here to help, buddy.
I appreciate that, and you do all the time. That's the one and only Ray Ratto here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.